Anyway, let me get right to it because we all know where I'm starting off today. We all know where I'm starting off today, right? The Dallas Cowboys. I can't help it. I really, really wish that I didn't have to do this. I really, really wish that I didn't have to tell you how sorry and pathetic that they were this past Sunday evening. Sunday Night Football, to be exact, against the San Francisco 49ers. They got beat down and bum rushed 42-10. Brock Purdy looking like the second coming of Joe Montana. Dak Prescott looking like anything but. Dallas got punked on both lines of scrimmages as far as I'm concerned. And clearly one quarterback outclassed the other, and you know who that quarterback was. I'm going to tell you this because I take no pleasure in saying this as it pertains to the Cowboys, because at some point in moment in time, you got to have a little compassion. Now, I know it's going to shock you to hear that coming from me, because I do consider the Dallas Cowboy fan base to be the most disgusting, nauseating fan base in American history. I can't stand a Cowboy fan. I mean it affectionately. It's all in fun, all in love. Okay, but with everything that's going on in this world today, we don't need to be acting like this real hatred as it pertains to this sports podcast and beyond, by the way, sports plus entertainment and beyond. But bottom line is this. I do like seeing Cowboy fans miserable. I do think they're delusional. I do think they're off their rocker. I do think they're nauseating and disgusting, because they could go 1-15 or 3 or 1-16 in this day and age with 17 regular season games. They could sit up there and go 3-14. The season could end at 7 p.m. And by 7:15, they're like this. You know we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, right? Yeah, that's what they say every year. And every year they're coming up short. And every year they're getting their ass kicked. But rarely have you seen an ass kick in the likes of what we've seen, or what we saw, rather, Sunday night. It was pretty bad. And there was a lot of bad performances that took place. But when you take into account what we saw from the Cowboys, it was just utterly embarrassing. And there's no way around it. And there's no way to escape it. I'm just looking at my stats here. I'm just looking at a couple of things. Just let me read some of this stuff off to you. In the loss to the 49ers on Sunday night, that dropped the Cowboys to 0-3 versus San Francisco, dating back to the 2021 postseason. And in that span, these are Dak Prescott's numbers. He's been sacked 9 times. He's been intercepted 6 times. He's thrown just 3 touchdown passes. And he's led Dallas to a grand total of 39 points. 39 points in 3 games. They're averaging 13 a game. That's pathetic. This is a team last year that was averaging 29 a game. This year, they're struggling offensively. Now, since returning from his thumb injury in week 7 of last season, Dak Prescott has 18 interceptions in 16 games. 18 interceptions in 16 games. His third career game with 3 interceptions, that was Sunday night. The first 2 also came against championship contenders, 2017 versus the Philadelphia Eagles, who ended up winning that Super Bowl, and 2019 versus the Green Bay Packers, who had gone to the NFC Championship game. If you're going to make your money, if you're going to be that dude, if you're going to be that person that the Dallas Cowboys invest in long term, you're the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's got to do better. He's only accounted for 5 touchdowns in 5 games this year. 18 quarterbacks have more this season. I'm just giving you the numbers because I keep receipts. Do you know that the Dallas Cowboys didn't make a single trip to the red zone in the entire game last night? Not a single trip to the red zone. First downs, 49ers 25, Cowboys 8. Time of possession, 49ers 37, Cowboys 23. Dallas is averaging 5.2 fewer offensive points per game, with Mike McCarthy calling plays now that Kellen Moore is in Los Angeles, calling plays for the Los Angeles Chargers. And speaking of Kellen Moore, do you know that the Dallas Cowboys play them in L.A., Monday Night Football, a week from tonight? In all likelihood, I'll be there. I'll be there for that one. I'm going to shock you by what I'm about to say, because I think it's over for Dak Prescott. You see, he's going to count against the Dallas Cowboys cap by about $60 million. He's going to be a $60 million cap hit if they don't make a new deal with him. In order to get a new deal with him, you know he's going to want to raise. This is the dude that won about 1 playoff game at the time and still ended up signing a mega deal and getting $75 million in year 1, $95 million in the first 2 years. Dak Prescott gonna want his money. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, the only way to lower the cap hit is to negotiate a new deal with him, which would call for you to pay him more than the $40+ million he's getting paid now per year. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to do that. I think this is the end for Dak Prescott. And having said all of that, I'm going to venture into a different realm that nobody expected me to. I'm going to go a place nobody expected me to go. I'm going to call for a little compassion when it comes to Dak Prescott. If you recall, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not joking about this, I'm dead serious about this. Obviously, he has spoken on some mental health challenges he's had, particularly in the aftermath of losing his brother a few years back, and how he's going through some things mentally and emotionally. And when you look at the state of affairs in Dallas, let's call it what it is. The Cowboy fans have given up on Dak Prescott. After Sunday night's performance against San Francisco, they'll never believe in him. They'll hope. They'll pray. But they're not going to believe. They're not going to have, quote unquote, expectations. You're going to look at this defense, even without Trayvon Diggs, who's out for the season. And you're going to look at Stephon Gilmore. And you're going to look at Van Der Esch. You're going to look at Micah Parsons, that stud, and DeMarcus Lawrence and the rest of the crew. And you're going to be like, this defense can show up. This defense can handle their business. You ain't going to think that about the offense. You're not going to think that. And so to me, the city of Dallas has given up on Dak Prescott. And they've given up on Dak Prescott because the belief is, we don't know this definitively because they'll never admit it, but the belief is the defense has given up on Dak Prescott. And so what I don't want to do is pile it on. I know the brother can play. He's not a scrub. He's just somebody that doesn't show up in big moments. When the moment calls for it, when the moment counts, when the moment calls for greatness, particularly from your leaders, Dak Prescott is nowhere to be found. Oh, you can find him afterwards because he's an excellent interview. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, always says the right things, never provides bulletin board material. There's nothing exciting about his verbiage and what he chooses to articulate. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. I think he's done in Dallas. And I think the Dallas Cowboys have to entertain trading Dak Prescott quick, fast, and in a hurry. I really do. If you're not going to trade him now, trade him in the offseason. But you're going to have to move him. Because what Dak Prescott has shown, and there is no way around this, Dak Prescott is not worth $50 million a year, but he's going to command that based on the market and the franchise he's playing for. Remember, it's the Dallas Cowboys that's worth $9 billion. It's the average NFL team that's worth $5 billion. Yeah, the Washington Commanders may have sold to Josh Harris for over $6 billion, and the Denver Broncos were sold for about $4.6 billion, but the average NFL franchise is worth about $5.1 billion. Dallas is worth $4 billion more than the average NFL franchise. They got the money, but damn it, it's a hard salary cap. And they ain't going to sit up there and compromise the health and the wealth of their team moving into the future in order to take care of Dak Prescott. They ain't going to do it. They ain't going to do it. And so because that's the reality, you got to move him. You got to move him. I'm not saying do it during the season, but when he lose, because he will lose, because Dallas ain't winning no damn Super Bowl. The fact is, when that happens, you're going to have to make a decision. And you're going to have to move from beyond them. Because I'm looking at quarterbacks right now. And let me tell you something right now. For the quarterbacks who've gotten paid, I'm not saying they're not worth it. But Joe Burrow got paid. You see how he's struggling. Lamar Jackson got paid. $260 million over 5 years. $135 million guaranteed. Other guarantees coming into consideration could escalate to $185 million. Lamar Jackson leading the league in turnovers in the fourth quarter. He's got like 11 since 2021. I mean, come on, you got to protect the football. And I saw Nelson Aguilar drop a touchdown pass. I saw Bateman drop a touchdown pass. I also saw Lamar Jackson commit 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Yet again. But he got paid. Russell Wilson get paid in Denver. How much of a difference is that making? How much? I'm just wondering. Inquiring minds want to know. Because it doesn't seem to make much sense to me. So you got Russell Wilson getting paid. You got Lamar Jackson getting paid. We see it. We got Joe Burrow getting paid, even though Joe Burrow is a stud, and I think he'll be just fine, especially after they win over Arizona on Sunday. Deshaun Watson getting paid. But running backs ain't. Now, the exception is Jonathan Taylor for the Indianapolis Colts. They just got about $26.5 million guaranteed from the Indianapolis Colts, which kind of doesn't make any sense because why would you refuse to pay him in the offseason, but they capitulate and give him this dough when Zach Moss, his replacement, his reserve, is balling out in his first few games of the year? The only thing that I could surmise is that you got two running backs. You don't overutilize them. As a result, you don't wear them down through attrition and other stuff. And as a result, you're able to move one of them when it's time and make sure you get some equitable compensation for their services. But if you're going to sit up there and hold running backs accountable, no matter what their level of production is, you don't want to pay them. How you going to turn around and then say, nah, we're not going to pay them, but we're going to pay the quarterbacks, but we're going to ignore their absence of production? I can assure you Jerry Jones is not going to do that. He's not going to do it. And I'd be remiss in neglecting to talk about the Dallas Cowboys without talking about the San Francisco 49ers. They're the best team in the NFL. As of this moment right here, right now, the San Francisco 49ers should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy is balling out. 9 touchdowns, not a single interception. Completing over 72% of his passes. Balling. Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey's the league MVP candidate, ladies and gentlemen. This brother's something special. They're 15-0 in San Francisco since Christian McCaffrey arrived in the regular season. 15-0. And they're 10-0 in every game that Brock Purdy has started at quarterback. I mean, it's amazing to see. And their defense is legit. It's number 1 in the NFL. I think it's like number 2 in yards allowed. Nick Bosa and the crew. Oh, my Lord. This brother Warner, Fred Warner, Lord have mercy. He's something special. The San Francisco 49ers are the team to beat. They don't drop their guard. A lot of teams should be able to run and do their thing right up until they run into San Francisco. Philadelphia Eagles could be the exception, but I don't like what I'm seeing from the Eagles in the red zone. They got to the red zone 6 times against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday. Only made it there twice. I'm worried. I really, really am. I'm just looking at it and breaking it down. Philadelphia Eagles, I need to see more from them. I just do. Now, they've won 22 of the 23 starts Jalen Hurts has had beyond center. Sunday was a good day because they converted about 72% of their third downs, which was great. And they ranked second and third down offense this season. So we know the Eagles are efficient there. But in the red zone, only 2 touchdowns and 6 trips. They ranked 27th in the NFL in red zone TD percentage at 42%. 18 touchdowns and 19 red zone trips. By the way, defensively, they're third worst in red zone defense, allowing touchdowns on 75% of opponent red zone possessions. So guess what? That plays right into San Francisco's hands, even though they play in Santa Clara. Don't get me started with that. But the San Francisco 49ers, they're stout defensively, they're efficient offensively. I can't see how anybody is better than the San Francisco 49ers at this particular moment in time. Only thing that makes sense to me is if San Francisco were to go against Miami, as potent as Miami's offense is, but I would have felt a lot better about that had Miami not gone to Buffalo and gotten blown out about 8 days ago, 48-20. So if Buffalo's defense could do that to Miami, why can't San Francisco's defense do that to Miami? These are all storylines. All storylines that can't be ignored. Make no mistake about it. But I'm paying attention because when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, and again, piggybacking off the angle that I brought up about having some compassion for Dak Prescott, you know, Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys last year, who's now in Los Angeles doing the same job for the Chargers, they were a top 4 team in red zone efficiency. They did average 29.1 points per game. I'm looking at this stuff under McCarthy. When Kellen Moore was there, the 3 years, the Cowboys ranked a collective 4th in the NFL with 378 offensive yards per game. But this year, with McCarthy calling the plays, they've diminished to middle of the pack. They ranked 16th in the league with 327 offensive yards per game, 51 yards less per game. And the Cowboys only have 9 offensive touchdowns in 5 games this season. 18 teams have more than them this year. What do you want me to say? See, if Dak Prescott ends up losing out on remaining a Dallas Cowboy, as far as I'm concerned, so should Mike McCarthy. You wanted to be the offensive play caller. You wanted to take the responsibility out of Kellen Moore's hands. You wanted to spell for the defense because even though y'all were scoring points, they weren't getting enough rest because you were scoring in bunches and you were scoring quickly. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at it right now and I'm like, yo, they got problems. They got problems.